Hi, I'm here to give you a demo of Celoxis. Celoxis offers enterprise, class project, and portfolio solution designed to streamline your projects, processes, and drive success right from your demand to real-time insights. Your demand or project intake is streamlined with Celoxis, allowing you to prioritize projects based on custom KPI scoring matrix, ensuring that you are always working on the projects that align with your strategic goals. In terms of planning, we make it easy with the multiple visualization of your WPS. Using Gantt chart, Kanban view, you can easily create baselines, track critical path, manage dependencies, and handle resources across different time zones and shift. In terms of managing your resources, we make it easy with the views telling you current resource workload, tracking, utilization, managing capacity across your initiatives. As the project moves into execution, Stage Celoxis helps manager track the plan versus actual progress, track costs and revenue. Besides this, the risks captured at the planning stage can be monitored to keep track of the impact team member entering the timesheets and expenses will calculate the EV parameters. Your earned value matrix basically telling you how the progress is and report the real-time progress to your leadership team. You can also manage your business processes or workflows, like issues change request in the same tool, so that you have a single source of truth for all your project information. Our powerful reporting gives you real-time data visualization, eliminating the need for a separate reporting tool. You get insight to the project's progress, resource, allocation, real-time, status on portfolios or objectives, so that you can take timely and informed decisions. To give you an overview or the demonstration, I would be logging in as 3 different personas: a project manager, team member, and an executive. These 3 personas have different expectations from the system. So for example, as a project manager, you would typically want to see what are the projects you are managing, what is the current status of the projects, what are the potential risks, and report all of this progress back to your leadership. As a team member, you're more interested in understanding what your day-to-day activities are, collaborate with your team members, and get your work done. The last role play that we would be doing is the executive. But this kind of a resource needs more of an high-level overview. To understand the progress, have a single source of truth to track. If the projects are doing well with the KPIs or the OKRs you're tracking with. So let's dive into the tool. Now let's start with a project manager's profile. So I'm going to log in as a user call Andrew. Andrew, once he logs into the system, can see the dashboard where the different aspects of the projects he or she is managing is what you would be able to see. A few metrics giving you an overview of how the project is progressing. As you scroll down, you have visibility to the projects that Andrew is managing with the schedule and budget help, so that you understand how the project is progressing in those terms. Besides it, the status of the tasks, these are charts that you can drill down to. So, for example, this is the list of tasks which are at risk. As a manager, Andrew can then select to request an update that sends out notification to the resources who are working on it. So not only do you see information, you can act upon it right from the dashboard. Now, once these users receive the notification, they can actually reply back to the email notification itself, putting in that comment so that once the Celoxis receives it, the task will be updated and the project manager is informed. So that's how easily you can work with the system. As you scroll down, you can track the budget utilization, which visually tells you how the project budget was planned versus how it is being consumed. And besides it, your team performance to understand the progress in terms of plan versus actual effort for your resources. The report here shows you data for a specific period. What this means is these are time phase reports showing you data for a specific period. This is one of the key features that we offer where you can see data for a specific period that you are interested in. Most of the tools will show you cumulative information, but when you want to look at past performances, track forecast, looking at your trend, or being able to look at time, phased information comes in handy. So this is where Celoxis stands out. All of these charts, as I mentioned, can be drilled down. Now, the best part about these dashboards that we are going to be looking at today is the information is always real-time. And second, that these dashboards can be customized. Right from the layout of the report to the actual columns that you see, the sequence can be something you can set up for yourself. If there are widgets that you do not need, you can remove them and add what you want to from the list that you see here. So the list and the individual reports that you see can also be customized so that you can visualize your data your way. You can set up your own dashboards also. Now, besides looking at the information in real time, one of the other important factors that most of the people looking at tool are interested in is the ease of use. So Celoxis makes it easier for you while finding most of the information at the single click. On your left-hand side menu are quick actions where you would typically want to see your dashboards, projects. Look at the workload view, something we would be looking at shortly. Reports, as I mentioned, is one of the key features that we offer. You can slice dice, visualize your data the way that you need, and you can set up your own reports from the menu here. We also allow you to manage your workflows. That includes bugs, risks, issues, or any other approval workflows that you wish to track. On the top right is the search bar, where you can search across entities using keywords. The content of the documents are also looked into. This is followed by the mentions and notifications icon, offering easy collaboration. So we ensure that you receive notification. Besides that, at a single click, you can see all of the notifications the next as well. You can initiate your projects, fill in timesheets, or raise the request. And last, here is where you can manage your profile, access the calendar, engage with my team whenever you have queries, or perform administrative operations. If you are an administrator, so you can see most of the time information is available at a single click. Now let's progress ahead and talk about your project demand. The project demand can be created, or your project request can be raised from the plus menu here, followed by project request. You can capture this with the additional data points that you want to about your project request. So, for example, what is the overall budget? What is the risk involved in doing this particular project request? What is the objective? Is it strategic, operational, tactical, and so on? So these are the fees that you can configure for yourself. I'll click on Cancel here and take you to the left-hand side menu, where we can see all the project requests that have been captured. These can be captured from the application itself, or you can also host a web form where the information is then submitted to Celoxis. So the person who's going to be taking care of this can then view this screen to see all the project request or your demand with the data fields that you have captured. What is more interesting, here is the score field, which is a formula that looks at project's objective, budget, and risk. So the strategic. If the objective is strategic, then 30 is added to a score. If the risk involved is low, a 10 is deducted. This score is something you can create for yourself. This is what I've done only, for example, purpose here. The score tells you how better this particular project request aligns with your objective. When you click on this request here, you can then see the details. The workflow here on your right-hand side telling you how the flow of this particular request is going to be. You can also attach different artifacts like the checklist, documents, have the entire communication on this particular request itself. So at any point, if you want to go ahead and see why a particular project request was put on hold, why was it rejected, why was it approved, all of that is what you can find in this place itself. Now, let's say a particular project request reaches a certain stage. Let's say the proposal preparation at this stage, or what if analysis can be run on these project requests to determine which of the projects are a right fit for you. So these are all your project requests, a few columns giving you the details you're going to. Now, check the impact of these project requests on your resources, capacity, budget margin, or any other custom KPIs that you want to evaluate with. For now, let's say we pick these 3 projects. I'm going to change their state from requested to. What if, once we now refresh this dashboard, we'll see the impact on these 3 values. So what you now see is that you're overrunning the budget. Your margin also changes. And your resources capacity in terms of your designers and developers will get over-allocated, which means they are not a right fit of projects for you. Now here we can either edit the dates of your projects to see if you can do that at a later point, or you simply reward back this particular project back to the requested state and keep playing around with other projects till you find the correct methods. So now what we see here are these 3 projects are something you can definitely do because they look good with the resources, capacity, budget, and margin. So you can then pick these 3 projects, edit, and change their state to draft, which means they are now approved. The project manager who are assigned on them will receive a notification, and they can then start planning the WBS, which is part of the project. So this is how Celoxis helps you with managing your demand or your project requests. Now moving on. Let's see how projects can be set up from the plus menu here, followed by project. We'll list the 4 different ways with which projects can be initiated. You can import Microsoft Plan, so your MPP and XML files can be imported within a few clicks. The information in terms of the WBEs, the dependencies effort, duration, resources, priority budget are certain. Information will get imported once the file is imported. We are one of the best Microsoft project alternatives in the market. Besides, that also allows you to define your own templates. You can create your own templates and use them when creating a new project. Besides that, you could also navigate to a particular project and copy that over. or we could start off from scratch using the new project option. Let's go ahead with this. And let's call this sample project. I'll leave the plan. Start data as is. These are the other standard fields. Under the Advanced tab, you can specify the budget, depending whether you want to do billing. It's a client project, you can specify the billing type. Interesting tab, here is this custom fields where you can gather more data about your project. So, for example, you're doing advertising projects, or there are different type of projects that you work with. So we allow you to create your own project types and basis that the custom fields can be associated with it. For example, advertising could have these two fields, whereas an implementation, or let's say a software, the fields could be different. So you can gather information over here. These fields are available in your reports as filter column and group by. What that means is that you might want to say, create a report of projects that show you all the Linux type of projects with, or let's say an OS support of type Linux. You can create that report easily from the Reports menu. You don't even have to reach out to us, and the report would be available within a few clicks. For now, let's click on Save. This project is created. These tabs that you see here are project-specific views giving you information for this project and can be customized. For now, let's see the interactive Gantt chart. Pleasure. If you are familiar with Microsoft Project, you would quite easily be able to relate to this. If you're new to this, we allow you to work with the Gantt chart, either in an Excel-like way where you can add columns as you need and start working to build the WBS, or you can use both of it, which means the interactive features and the left-hand side manner. Here, let's add a few tasks to see this. So you should have a single task at the time. You can add subtasks. Set up your milestones. Typically, your payment or schedule milestone is when you would use this. You can also copy a bulk of tasks from another project you can import. Excel sheets or Microsoft Plan in the existing project too. Besides that, this multiple option here is huge time saver and receives always a wow once we demonstrate this. So as you can see, I am just putting tasks one below the other. Here you can copy paste them if you already have them in Excel or just type them one below the other, as I am doing. You can also specify resources, duration. There are quite some examples for your reference over here. For now, let's click on Submit. And there you go. That's how easily tasks are set up. You can now start building on the plan. So you can update the duration, change the dates, set up dependencies using the columns that you see here. Like I said, you can work with Gantt in an interactive manner too. So you can drag, drop the task to change their dates. Update the duration. Let's do that for a few tasks. Similarly, the drag-drop operation allows you to set up dependencies too. All the 4 types of dependencies with lead and lag time are something we allow me to set up. This makes it easy for you with planning. So if there's any change in schedule, all you do is update that single task, and all the related tasks will then automatically reschedule. So let's rework for the manager. The manager need not remember. The resources are working across different shapes as a resource on a holiday. Are there dependencies? All of that is, looked at after by the system to give you the dates in real time. Celoxis has also allowed you to set up inter-project dependencies, especially when you have resources who work in 2 different projects, or you are tracking machinery and equipments, which is needed in a particular project, and only when that is done, it can be utilized across different. So when you edit a particular task under the Predecessors tab here, you can click on the Add button to add into project dependency. All the task dates will reschedule in real time. Once your tasks are set up, you can then assign resources, who can be allocated in percentage or in hours. During the initial stage, when you do not know the resources, you can put in job roles so that you get a tentative effort. You understand the timeline of executing this project later. When you identify the actual user playing that role, you can replace it with one. Let's say we are going to work with Abby full-time on this task, whereas Alex, who's another resource, is going to work 50%. So a single task can have multiple resources, each with their own allocation. Very few tools allow you to have multiple resources on the same task. And in fact, we go above that by allowing you to have different allocations for your resources too. You can also allocate resources in hours again, one of the innovation that Celoxis has offers. So you can say, I need Billy to work 10 hours on this task, once the allocation is done. This left-hand side menu here at times might show you this red indicator, clicking on, which will show you that there is a resource conflict for a particular resource who is occupied across projects, or maybe tasked in the same projects too. So this is an indicator for a project manager telling him about the resource conflict. Once your plan is finalized, you can then set a baseline. So you get to compare your original plan versus the one which is in action. So tracking deviation becomes easier. Gantt or this WBS can easily be shared in terms of exporting it to Excel or Microsoft Project. You can also download it to PDF or as an image file that you can put in your PowerPoint presentations. So that's about Gantt and how Celoxis easily allows you to work with our interactive view. Let's close this. And now let's look at the workload view. This allows you to track the allocation of your resources across projects. On your left are your resources. On the right is the number of hours, the resources allocated on that particular date. Color coding visually helps you identify the load. So red is over allocation, blue is under allocation, and green is optimal allocation. So you visually see that Ethan, from the 18th until the 22nd of this month, is over allocated, whereas Jack and Marvin can pick up some more work, right in this view. Here you can further drill down to see the actual projects and the tasks Ethan is assigned on. So software development is a project, and here these two tasks are assigned to Ethan on the same dates, causing this conflict. So to resolve this from this view itself, you can either edit the task and push it to a later date, when you see there is free capacity for the resource, or you can simply reassign it to someone else who's free. Jack here is free. So let's, for this particular over-allocation, unassign Ethel and assign it to Jack. So as soon as you've done that one, your conflict is resolved. Second, Jack receives a notification that he's now supposed to be working on the task. So you've done all of this from the workload view here. We need not even go to the get to make any changes. Now, let's say you don't work on a, day-to-day basis where you see the over-allocation of your resources. You might want to have the insights more at a weekly or a monthly level. You can easily switch the zoom, define a period. So let's say we want to see this data for the entire year and click on the plan. So the easy promptable filters allows you to visualize the data that you need. These reports can also be exported to Excel or PDF too. Let's look at another visualization. So when we assign the work from Ethan to Jack, we purely did that on the fact that Ethan was over-allocated and Jack was ready to take that work. But sometimes this decision needs to be more informed where you might need a resource from the same row to take this up. So this view is exactly going to help you with that on your left here. Now you see the job roles. He can further drill down and Jack play the same role. You can create your own job roles, the work calendar associated with each job role, and your user is giving the availability to the system. Based on how you have allocated the planned effort or the plan, utilization can be determined. So these charts are what is giving you the information in real time. So let's say you need a resource or a designer. In the month of April, you can quickly visually understand which resources are free, which of them are occupied to some extent and cannot be used on those projects. Once your resources start putting in timesheets, the plan versus actual is also calculated so that you can quickly see for individual resources what are their plan versus the actual utilization. So if there are certain activities which are typically being delayed, so next time you plan a project, you can rework that better. If a resource typically tends to delay a work, you know that next time a high priority work is coming in, that resource cannot be utilized. So these are the decisions that you can take in real time. Looking at this information, you can visualize the same information in graphical charts too, where you can see month on month. What is the utilization of your resources compared to their availability? So that is how Celoxis helps you with tracking, managing your resources in a better way across multiple projects. Now let's come back to our original dashboard. I'm going to click on this project here, which brings up the overview page where you can see now that the schedule is on track. The cost is off track here because there is a 10% of cost overrun. These tabs will show you information like the documents which are uploaded over here. We allow you to upload documents from your local drive. You offer first-class integration with Google Drive. Or let's say, if your documents are assigned on SharePoint or any other file repository, the link of that file can be added over here so that you can visualize or look at the document right in the system. Documents can be grouped into different folder structures so that you can control the visibility of who can see which documents. The Risk tab here allows you to look at all the risks that have been captured during the initial stage. A risk goes through a typical workflow again, something you can customize for yourself. The risk is initially in the identified stage. From where it is analyzed, a mitigation plan might be put in, and it is assigned to a user. If the risk occurs, the person who's assigned to it will receive a notification and he can then execute the mitigation plan. Coming back. This is the list of all your risks. Then, with the information like severity, probability, and the rating, which is automatically calculated, and it can be configured to have your own logic. Back to the Overview tab, you can then scroll down to see the different information of the workflows that are initiated, the data that you have gathered, the schedule where we also calculate projections for you automatically in real time so that you know that with the current rate of progress, Do you expect the project to finish on, try on time, or exceed? Similarly, the financials are calculated. You can enter an overall budget for that project. The planned cost was automatically calculated. The planned cost comes from the labor cost, which is the number of hours you have allocated the resource into their per hourly cost rate. You can also account for non-labor costs, such as equipment, purchase, travel, and so on. And the last is fixed component, which includes rent amount, or let's say, a certain amount that is going to pay your vendors. So these three, calculate your planned cost. The actual comes from the timesheets that are approved. Expenses, again, that are approved, and the prorated fixed cost. If it is a client-facing project, your planned revenue, either coming from your time and material tasks or fixed price, which typically could be your milestone, is what you can see here. Actuals would come from the billable timesheets or a fixed price, tasks which are then marked as completed. Basis this, you can then have different charts that show you your revenue information and your cost. So let's look at this monthly cost by category view, where you can see the different costs that are incurred across your projects for different cost categories. These categories are something you can set up for yourself so that you can see which of the month that has been cost over. And where are you spending more money? So decisions where you have to, cut down on certain cost. See where you're spending more money are the kind of information you can easily see looking at this report. You can also look at the cost trend to compare your plan versus actual month on month. And look at the cumulative value. All of these charts can be downloaded. You can also schedule our reports and dashboards so that you receive a PDF copy at the time and frequency that you've set in here. So sharing the information is also easy. Let's look at this cross-project Gantt, another view which our PMOs and executives love to see, because this gives them a visual representation of how the projects are laid out across the period. The blue line here indicates where you are today. Using our smart filters, you can decide which projects you want to be listed here or want to show here. So that is visible on your left-hand side. You can easily drill down to see the level of tasks that you need. But the right-hand side here is more appealing, where you can see the timeline of your task to understand what is delayed, what is on track, and what is upcoming. So that's from a perspective of a project manager. Now let's move on to another login. I'm now going to log in as a team member. So Grace, who's assigned on a few tasks here, is now logging in. So typically she would be interested in understanding what are the tasks assigned to her. What are any other work items like risks, issues that she's supposed to be working on, fill timesheets, and collaborate with her team members whenever she needs help or needs to provide information. So the beauty of the tool here is that from the dashboard itself, Grace can work on her work items without having to run through multiple menus. Let's see how. So the theme dashboard here will show Grace what are the tasks assigned to her group by the projects. A visual indicator so that she knows which tasks she needs to focus on, scrolling down any issues. Risks assigned to her on the right, the rejected timesheet, which means she needs to relook at currently submitted for approval and the current timesheet widget. Let's come back to my tasks. Grace can click on this particular task here, which shows the overview page of the task after looking at the details. Let's say she wants to mention something to her project manager. You can do it right from this view, and let's add some comments. You can also attach document when you're adding comment and submit this. So when Andrew will receive an email notification about this mention, he can also log in and see it under the mentions icon on the top right. Besides this, Grace can also start a timer when she starts working on the task put in progress updates, attach documents, or log time and expenses from this view itself. So you see, for most of the time, she's working off her dashboard itself. She can quickly select tasks, probably something she forgot to update yesterday, and mark them as complete within a few clicks or click on it. Submit more details. Having done that, she can then click on the Open Timesheet widget, which brings up the timesheet page intelligently populated with the tasks she's supposed to be working on. All Grace now has to do is put in the number of hours she's worked with comments if required for project-related activities. Similarly, if she's been part of meetings trainings, she can put in those number of hours too. The non-project time that you see, here are the course that can be customized. So let's say Grace attended 1-hour training. Click OK and submit. And that's all. Timesheets. That's how easily Grace can submit the timesheet. Grace can also visualize this in her calendar. That's the task laid out for her. You can also export this to Outlook all Google Calendar so that you can see this information over there. It is a one-way sync that we support, so that's a login for Grace. To reiterate, a dashboard that we were looking at is something you can customize. So instead of a tabular report, if you prefer putting in a task board where Grace can look at the work items and easily move them across the line to update about the progress, that's something you can also do. Moving the task to the done state will automatically mark it as completed. So that's from a team member's perspective. Let's move to the last login, which is that of an executive. So I'm now going to log in as Daniel, someone from the leadership team, who needs more like a bird's eye view of the project's information to track the real-time metrics. The health of the project, you can set up filters to say which data you want to see. So, for example, you might want to see the latest update across all projects. You can set up the filters accordingly, and you can see the information. So that is the latest update of your projects across the KPIs that you measure the progress with. Besides it, the schedule widget, so that he can track the plan, progress versus the actual progress. So you can see there is a delay right from the start. As you scroll down, you have the product roadmap, one of the love views of our executives, where you can see what is the deadline of your projects on the x-axis, y-axis, showing you the products or the projects through by their types. The bubble indicates the health, the color indicates the health, and the number here is the budget. So what you see here in the month of March, your advertising projects are already of track. Things look good with implementation. With software, however, things are at risk. So as an executive, you can click over here to drill down and find the project, to start a conversation with the manager or the team members to understand what you can do to get things back on track. Let's look at a weekly status overview. So portfolio reports. So your status update provided by the individual managers will roll up at your portfolio level to understand how the project's roadmap is. The diamonds here indicate the milestone to visually tell you what is delayed, what is on track, and what is upcoming. As you scroll down, you can then see the current health with the one-line summary, telling you why things are red or green. To further see details, you can click over here, which then shows you a project on page update. So that's the health, quick executive summary for you, things that need your attention. Status trend, the key milestones across your project that you achieved and what are upcoming. Top risks, and the next set of forecasted activities. That's all what you would need to understand your progress. So you have a high-level overview with the ability to drill down and look at the finer details. But that's from a status reporting perspective. You might want to look at the revenue generation to understand how you are doing in those aspects. So you can see the revenue by your client, understand the efficiency of your managers, or compare the plan versus actuals. You can look at what are your projects which generate more revenue so that you can focus on them, or even look at your revenue forecast, where per client for the respective projects that you are doing on. You can see the next set of revenue coming in, but this is all in terms of KPI reporting. At times when you report at the strategic or in leadership level, you're actually gauging the progress at an objective and key results level. So whether you're achieving those goals, which of your projects map to which objective, so the same view. The dashboard, as you can see here, is showing you some metrics about the particular project. How far are you or how near are you from your target realization? When you group your projects or you initiate your projects by their objectives, and the key result, you can see which project drives towards achieving that particular goal or objective. So what you see here are the x-axis, showing you your different objectives, different initiatives with their budget. So what you see here are, you're almost spending a $1.78 million on projects which do not map to any of the objectives. However, for one of the objective, here you are not doing much projects, so you can then re-strategize and see what you can do to have more projects over here. Similarly, you can look at the risks, track the status. This is in terms of the key results. Month on month, he can track the key results status, which then rolls up at your objective level. You can also focus on a specific objective to see only the data about that particular objective too. So that's how using these dashboards, which show you information in real time, your executives can understand the information and can act upon it. Take decisions which are informed in real time. So that's all about the demo today. We've looked at these 3 different logins. Obviously, there is a lot more that you can do. Besides doing these 3 logins, we allow you to have a role-based security where you can add more roles as you need, so that you can control what each user can see and do in the application. All of these features that you see here are off the shelf. However, you can configure your own fields, your own views, reports, and dashboards so that they align to the needs, the expectations that you have from the tool. So whether you are a seasoned project manager or a team member, the tool or Celoxis is something you would find very easy to use. It is intuitive and has all the features that you need to manage your projects and processes in an efficient way. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to write back to your account manager or drop an email, and we'll connect back to you. Thank you.